I feel like one of the hardest things for me to decipher in a person's behavior is malicious intent versus level of self-awareness. Because sometimes people really don't understand their behavior. Sometimes people don't know what they're doing, and sometimes they do.
Women exist and do all of their best work, operating in the space between bad intent and low self-awareness. And you know what I'm talking about, because anytime you try to hold a woman accountable or responsible for something that exposes her bad intent, she will always do her best to explain to you what it was she truly meant and what it was she truly intended. My truth and not the truth. She will attempt to rewrite history, positioning herself in either an impartial position or the position of the victim. The impartial position sounds a lot like, yeah, but why would I do this and why would I do that? Placing the burden of interpretation on you to figure out why she would do such a thing. And the victim position sounds a lot like, yeah, but you, and I only did this because you. It sounds a lot like blaming others, deflecting responsibility, role-playing as a weak and powerless person, and seeking sympathy and pity. This is what I call the intentions games, where your woman will manipulate how events transpired to position herself as pure, innocent, and free of bad intent and free of bad faith. These are called the intentions games, and this is how women operate in the space between bad intention and low self-awareness. You see, if the woman loses the intention games, she can always claim that she didn't understand, that she lacked self-awareness, and that she's dumb, pretty much. So anyway, fellas, watch the rest of this video.
Manipulation tactic that ADHD is clock a mile off but still sends them insane. When people say something and it's either like as a joke, passive aggressive, or there's like they're actually saying something else, like the hidden words, and you know it straight away, but if you point it out, they can be like, no, I didn't mean that. I was just joking. I literally didn't say that. No, but I know that's what you meant. I know it. I know it. So now you're going to try and make me look insane for pointing out the thing that you didn't say, but you did say. You know what I'm talking about? It's crazy. It makes you feel like you're going insane.
When you have children, one of the first things you will notice is how the masculine and the feminine clash when it comes to child rearing. The masculine believes that a child should be punished so that the child will understand. But the feminine believes that the child should not be punished because the child does not understand. Both logic is right. However, one is more effective. The masculine is motivated by the child's growth and development, whilst the feminine is motivated by the desire to protect the child and provide excuses for the child. This is what we call compassion, this is what we call sympathy, and this is what we call pity. This is the same psychological system that women use on themselves in order to avoid accountability and responsibility. I'll say that again. This is the same psychological system that women use on themselves in order to avoid accountability and responsibility. You see, the woman believes that if she is unaware of her bad action, then she should not be held accountable for said bad action. And fellas, if you believe this and follow the feminine way, then not only will you be unable to hold women accountable, but you will also be unable to raise your children properly and give them the growth and development they need.
And sometimes they do, and I can never tell which one is which. So it's like, it kind of gets to the point where your grace kind of has to pause for a bit, and you have to ask yourself, if this person's behavior is bad, regardless of if they're aware of it or not, I don't deserve that. I don't want that in my life. I don't think this is cool. And leave. Literally just leave. And it's like, I understand that you don't have the awareness. I understand that you don't understand what you're doing. But I do. And I don't like it. And that's enough. That's enough.
Fellas, if she's got these type of balls, then you need these type of balls, no? Most women go through life making small actions. In general, they are risk adverse. Never forget that. But when it comes to making big actions or actions of bad intentions, most women will never move forward with it until they have established plausible deniability. I'll say that again. Most women will never move forward with it until they have established plausible deniability. So if they are held accountable for their big or bad action, she can have 3 or 4 different plausible excuses as to why she made that big or bad action. A very smart woman will have 3 or 4. A dumb woman will have 1 or 2. For example, when I coach men about how to close the deal with women, here is where I teach them how to provide plausible deniability to the woman and make it as easy as possible for her. This is the whole concept of being smooth, which is giving the woman reasons as to why she should do naughty things without her being seen as naughty. Giving the woman a path and an avenue to go home with you without being perceived as it being slutty or her doing something immoral or her doing something she shouldn't do. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever been doing a thing with a girl and her best friend slept with you, or her cousin slept with you, or her sister slept with you. Right before you're about to do the deed, she will kind of reject you. Like, not reject you, but she'll be like, oh, no, no, I really don't think we should be doing this and stuff like that. She's only doing that because if she gets caught, she can say, I never wanted to do it. No, remember when I told you that we shouldn't do it, but you, you pushed me into doing it, right? Because that's plausible deniability. Right. And she does this. Women are very calculated, very meticulous, very premeditated in everything that they do. You know, they have contingency plans for all of the bad and naughty things that they do. And in order for you to be smooth, in order for you to be really, really good at taking women home, you need to provide them with plausible deniability, you know, and also for your own self as well, fellas. It's game for you to understand, like, you know, you don't always, if you want to bring a woman around to your home, you don't have to say, yeah, let's Netflix and chill. No, don't be silly. Just be like, listen, let me cook for you. She's going to know. But again, you've established plausible deniability. It's safe. That's for you and that's for her. You know, you said that you was going to cook for me. I didn't know. I wouldn't have come round. Right? You know, or if, you know, if you're dealing with a woman and she's going to say, don't get any funny business, by the way, I'm not that type of a girl. You already know she's going to be giving you them cheeks that night, you know, but she wants to establish plausible deniability. So you think she's not that type of a girl. All right. So you have to bear this in mind, fellas. This is a very, very big thing. You need to utilize it in order for you to have success with women. And you also need to understand it so you can protect yourself against your woman's bad intentions and the intention games. You know, this is a real sport that women have been honing through years and years and years. It started at home with their parents, you know, and now she's at your doorstep doing it to you. The intention games. You know, these women will really rewrite history. And they will literally change how things transpired. If you as a man, if you're not paying attention, you're going to be bamboozled by this. For me, I'm undefeated in these games, right? I keep telling you guys, I'm autistic and neurodivergent. I have a ridiculous memory. When it comes to social behaviors and things that I have done, I remember things that I was doing since I was 2 years old. I really remember everything word for word and everything like that. I remember everything. The thing with women as well, women have an inability to remember things because women only remember things around their emotional arousal. The things that arouse them, they're going to remember. All of the details, they don't remember details of truths and crucial details. They remember details relating to her spikes and her emotions. So if you said something that offended her, she's going to remember that and exaggerate it, you know. You see what I'm trying to say? Like she's going to exaggerate it times 10 in her mind. So women are actually really, really bad at remembering how things have transpired. Where women are very emotional, they are paying attention to how they're feeling. Women are always lost in their own hubris. So they're never paying attention to how things are actually transpiring. You know, and this is the reason why women are such poor judges of character, because they're always in their heads. They're never actually paying attention to things. So when a woman is subjecting you to intention games, she doesn't remember nothing. You know, and as I said, she's just always trying to position herself as pure and innocent and free of bad faith. So you need to not allow your woman to subject you to these intention games. And also, as I said as well, just like as a good parent understands that, listen, you still got to discipline this kid just because they don't understand stuff. You know, we don't wait for kids to understand things. You know, we teach them and they will reflect, and we punish them or we reward them and they will reflect, and then they'll change their behaviors after that. So the punishment has to come regardless if this person understands or not. All right, fellas, don't fall into the female psychology of, well, I didn't know, so I shouldn't be held accountable. That's your problem. Whoosh, whoosh, with the belt. That's a noise for the belt. Come and take these lashings. I'm joking, guys. Right. That's not a problem. And as a man, that's not your problem. Okay, well, you've done X, Y, and Z, so I'm going to have to act accordingly. You will understand after this punishment. It hurts me more than it hurts you. You know them ones there. But anyway, guys, leave a like, leave a comment, sign up for one-on-one coaching. Make sure you follow me on YouTube and subscribe.